Hey all, Switch 2's here, and as a consumer of product from company, I'm ecstatic. As much of a success as the Switch 2 launch year is, it's a little light on games. One reason for the lack of first-party offering might just be because they have more trust in third-party developers, a complete flip of what happened during the Wii U era. Therefore, I thought it might be fun to speculate on where Nintendo takes each of their big franchises across the Switch 2 generation. As well as being fun to put together, this video will act as a time capsule for how absolutely wrong we were. And I do say we. Today I'm bringing in some guests for their expertise on games that I have not beat, to cross-examine because God knows I'm very bad at beating games. So look forward to that. No more waffling. Let's jump in first with obviously their biggest man,
Mario!
Starting of course with the obvious, Mario Kart World is going to be the only Mario Kart game we get on the Switch 2. I'm putting that down now. At best, we might get the arcade GP games as like a collection or something, but I highly doubt it. For Mario Kart World itself, I'm really hoping we get some content updates for free, like they did with, the Splatoon series. I feel that if they can continue to get the player base coming back to that, it'll have the same effect as the Booster Course Pass for Mario Kart 8, where people just love playing Mario Kart every month, and they make $1 quintillion. Now with that, I would like to see them add races, of course, add tracks, of course, but also fix the online. Recently they changed the way that random works online so that people can't play the way that they want to. They're instead forced into the intermission tracks, which is pretty lame. And for me personally, I would like a collectible tracker, just because I'm a completionist, and getting all the Peach medals and the P-switches and the little pads on the floor, that's kind of annoying if you can't see where at least you've got them. Besides that, Mario Kart World is pretty damn good. I would like to see its music on like the music player, maybe, the phone app, just because getting high quality releases of the audio is a little difficult at the moment, and I would love those FLACs. And at some point in the future, in a few years, I doubt that they will skip having paid DLC, just because how many people bought the Booster Course Pass. Maybe they didn't plan for it when they were developing the game, and the whole open world idea would make it difficult to do good DLC, but a separate island, or even just tracks that can only be selected in Versus mode, I think would sell a lot. The only complaint I have about Mario Kart World, really, they stole Mr. Yabuki from the ARMS dev team. We'll get to ARMS later, but that's a bit of a downer for me. 3D Mario. Bit of a different story. Everyone seems to be expecting a new 3D Mario at the beginning of each Nintendo system. That makes sense. However, it was abundantly clear that the team that developed Super Mario Odyssey has moved over to Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong Bonanza is acting as a 3D Mario this year. That being said, do I think we're still getting one on Switch 2? Absolutely. That would be stupid not to. I don't know if it's the entire dev team from Mario Odyssey on Donkey Kong, but if they're going to take the series in a way that is very not Odyssey, maybe more linear again, I wouldn't like that personally, but I'm not the only consumer. They don't need the whole team. They might need a few people and then a separate team. Who knows what their plans are for 3D Mario, but I think we cannot go more than 2 years without one on the Switch 2. It's been, 8 years since Mario Odyssey? 7 years? It's been a long time. Bowser's Fury, it's a very small game, it doesn't really count as a full 3D Mario game, and I didn't love it very much, so I'm going to be a little disappointed if that's the direction they take Mario Odyssey 2, or whatever it is. But I do think they're much more likely to push forward to something new, rather than fall back on something else. I could see it being in a similar vein to Sunshine, where it is got its weird one gimmick, sort of like Odyssey with Cappy, but even more different. And the reason I point to Sunshine is because Galaxy got Galaxy 2, obviously, and then it was re-released on the Switch. 64 was a heavy inspiration for Mario Odyssey with the moons and the stars and so on. Sunshine hasn't really got much. It's on NSO now as well. Don't you worry, I'll mention a lot about NSO later. We might also see Super Mario Galaxy 2 as a standalone remaster like Skyward Sword, just as sort of a filler thing in a few years. I'm not going to put bets on that, but I could see it happening. overall for 3D Mario, I think we're going to be waiting maybe a year or two. I don't think that they would mind having it so close to Donkey Kong, so long as they do Donkey Kong first so that people buy Donkey Kong, and then they announce Mario, so that people don't feel like Donkey Kong is the replacement Mario, and why would I get that as well? If that makes sense. That would be a little scummy in a way, but I mean, I get two cakes. Personally, I would love an Odyssey 2 set with the same Odyssey mechanics or similar, just new kingdoms, new enemies, new captures. I love that game. And if it's anything like that, or anything like Donkey Kong, which I'm really looking forward to, I'll be happy. 2D Mario is a lot weirder. We just got Wonder recently. And sure, these games don't take a long time to develop, but look at the backlash that they received when they did New Super Mario Bros., New Super Mario Bros. Wii, Wii U, 2, Luigi. No one liked them at the end. No one bought them. I mean, they did get bought, unfortunately, which is possibly why they kept making them. But critically, they were panned, right? Mario Wonder was a breath of fresh air, and people loved it. I really, really hope they learn from their mistakes and don't make Super Mario Bros. Wonder 2 for the Nintendo Switch 2, especially if they act as if it's a big title, like a system-selling December game. We will talk about this year's December game later, but I do not think it would be Mario 2D or 3D this year. I can see, similar to Wonder, a mid to late game system sort of booster would work very well for 2D Mario, because they're smaller games nowadays. Not to say that they're worse games, but they are smaller. The general public is less likely to pay, what is it, 80 US dollars, 100 Australian dollars for 2D Mario nowadays. And the other thing is, Super Mario Maker, as well as all of its levels, and New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, which got a Switch 2 edition upgrade thing, and all of the NSO games, it's not like you're missing much 2D Mario on the Switch 2. You've still got a whole library of it. Mario Maker 3, however, if we count that as a 2D Mario game, then I think that is a guarantee next year. That is my prediction. Now, obviously, the mouse mode is the main thing that makes me think this is happening. Because, yeah, the Mario Maker 2 is still on the Switch. You can still play that on Switch 2. But mouse mode for a game that looks like it was designed for a computer, perfect, obviously. And then there's the very suspicious style-shaped gap in the menu of Super Mario Maker 2 that makes me and many other people think that there was an update plan for the game that didn't pan out, a DLC that got cancelled, or, more likely in my opinion, they moved content over to the developing Super Mario Maker 3. Yeah, I don't think we're getting Mario Maker 3D. That would be really cool, but I don't think they're there yet. They don't want to let people make their games for them to that degree, because the 3D stuff is still system sellers, whereas the 2D stuff are the smaller games. But Mario Maker 3 is coming next year. And then there's the Wacky World of Mario spin-offs. For sports games, we've got pretty much everything on the Switch besides, what, baseball and basketball? I think a basketball game would be really cool, just because Mario 3-on-3 Hoops on the DS was awesome. But I'm not sure if that would be really a Switch 2 feature-using game. I don't see how you could use the mouse for that, for example. And I'm not saying that every game needs to use that, obviously. I like it when games don't use gimmicks. But I don't see that coming early in the system's lifespan if it doesn't use gimmicks, you know what I mean? I would predict either baseball or basketball in 2 years. In the middle of the year, as a random direct filler, that most people go, oh, that's pretty cool. Think about the level of effort they put into the speed golf game or the soccer game with no heart, you know? Shit like that. Maybe they'll see the negative reception of those games and try to make the new one like a lot better, but I doubt it. For Mario Party, they keep putting Mario Party games on NSO, and given that we've got the GameCube now, it's going to be hard for them to make a new game that wows people, I think. Mario Party Jamboree got a Switch 2 edition with like the face camera stuff and new content. So I don't think we're seeing a new party soon, because that kind of acts as the Switch 2's Mario Party for the first year or two. I do think we will see them in the future, because that is like betting that the sky will be blue tomorrow. It probably will be, unless corporate meddling gets involved. I can see them putting too much emphasis on the camera and trying to make Mario Party, whatever it is, use the camera too much, and it'll just be a worse product because of it. But I think we're a few years out from a new Mario Party. Donkey Kong. I love that clip, I'm going to keep reusing it. You notice Donkey Kong was kind of absent during the entire Switch era, or is it just me? He got Tropical Freeze with Funky Mode, he got Returns at the very end of the system's lifespan, and many people thought that was worse than the original graphically. And what else did he get? He was in the Rabbids game as DLC, but that's it really, isn't it? And now we know that part of the reason for that was because they were working on Bonanza, which looks to be fantastic, of course. And then they've sort of changed his design, they've changed it on the Switch icons, they've changed it in Mario Party. They're really pushing forwards with this guy as a new face of Nintendo, similar to how he was a couple decades ago, you know? He also served a big role in the Mario movie. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about the movie here, but I do feel like Seth Rogen DK is going to be the way Donkey Kong is perceived in the public eye for at least a few years, and I don't see them letting that image go and not making more games for him. Bonanza's the big one. 1 or 2 years in the future, we either get 2D Mario or 2D Donkey Kong, I think. Returns was very recent, but it was a port. Maybe that was sort of testing the waters for how many people would buy that after being introduced to Seth Rogen Donkey Kong and so on. I can see them going, yeah, that's good, let's greenlight a 2D Donkey Kong now and have it be done in 3 or 4 years. So I do expect another 2D Donkey Kong in the Switch 2 cycle. I do expect another 2D Mario within the Switch 2 cycle. And I think one of the two, but not both, are happening in 2 years. If they do 2D and 3D with Donkey Kong, they can sort of push them forward separately, sort of the way they handled Mario, where you would have the big new system seller game and the supplementary 2D game. I feel like that's a good way to go. At risk of making them feel too similar, but I trust that the creative teams will make them feel distinct. And just quietly, I think using the bongos again would be the funniest thing with GameCube NSO. Imagine a GameCube NSO bongo set. Peak cinema. Isabel! Animal Crossing is a weird one. On one hand, it's one of Nintendo's massive big franchises nowadays, right? But they've still got Animal Crossing New Horizons through backwards compatibility. And they've still got the Happy Home Designer DLC included in Nintendo Switch Online, which they're pushing to everyone because of Game Chat. So if you're a new Nintendo fan, like a kid that got the Switch 2, you're going to see, wow, in order to talk to my friends, my mum bought me this subscription. And in this subscription is an Animal Crossing game. Maybe I won't buy the new one if they try and put out a new one too early. Now, I think that COVID, of course, was the massive shitstorm needed to push Animal Crossing New Horizons into superstardom, of course. But I don't see that happening again. Maybe. I'm really hoping it doesn't. Hot take, I know. I don't think they're going to be able to top themselves with Animal Crossing New Horizons 2, and I think they know that. Animal Crossing is not a graphically intensive series. They're not going to try and make it the most beautiful thing ever and push the Switch 2's limits, so they can't go in that direction. They don't want to reiterate on the island principle, probably. They could, because it was a big success, but then it would be quite iterative and less people would buy it, so I feel like they want to go somewhere different with Animal Crossing. The idea that I had that I think would be quite good in 3 or 4 years' time, make an Animal Crossing game closer to a sort of city development and planning game. Now, of course, the old games had elements of that, and Animal Crossing New Horizons stripped that back, but I mean sort of creating your own architecture, managing city systems, your water, your gas, building roads, all sort of city skylines meets Animal Crossing, I think would be quite good for the Animal Crossing crowd that's grown up with the Switch 2. It might be a little bit less cozy, which is why Animal Crossing did really well in 2020, but I think that would be a very interesting direction for the series that I would like to see explored. Maybe you play as Tom Nook, and I'd like to build Dracula's castle in Animal Crossing. I'm not the biggest Animal Crossing guy, really. I played a good amount of New Horizons, but it really isn't for me. And I tried the old ones a tiny bit. Yeah, not for me. So I can't really speculate here to the biggest degree. But Animal Crossing Skylines, I think, would be awesome. We're going to see that in 3 to 4 years. Actually, I've just had a thought. Why isn't Animal Crossing on Nintendo 64 NSO in Japan? Because it was released in Japan over there, and then the GameCube over here. Maybe it's not been over there this whole time, because we're going to get Animal Crossing on NSO GameCube. That would be interesting. I wonder how that would affect sales. We'll have to wait and see. Bayonetta! Those were two real big boys back to back, so let's talk about a smaller one. Bayonetta 3. Love this game. I think Bayonetta on the Switch 2 has the chance to be one of Nintendo's biggest franchises, if they play their cards right. Let me explain. So good old Bayo 3 was... rushed is the wrong word, but it had a tumultuous development. It took a little while to come out. The voice actor controversy that everyone has heard about. Bayonettas, you know. There is, of course, the fact that it was in development to be an open world game at some point, and then they cut that back, which is why the sort of intermediate level called Fool is Pokemon Sword and Shield graphics level, maybe even worse. There is the very, very rushed story where things are not explained. Half of the lore of the game was actually in Bayonetta Origins and the Lost Demon, whatever it is, with Luke Owen and all that kind of thing. All the fairy shit was in the spin-off game. There was a lot of potential in this game. It was going to be one of the best games ever made, but there's so much dragging it down. Just little things. I still think it's a fun game, but this is the best candidate for a Switch 2 edition I can think of. Picture this. It's Bayonetta 3, but it's pretty. How can they make it prettier? Well, we know that they have higher resolution and higher poly models and textures for this game in storage. We've seen in behind-the-scenes stuff and interviews that they made the assets and then they made them crunchy to fit on the Switch. Now, originally my thought was they're going to do that and then they're going to put it on PS5 and so on. But because it's sort of connected to Nintendo, I don't know if they'd be allowed to do that. They might. I mean, Bayonetta 1 was on PS3, it's still on Steam. But 1's a bit different. So what if instead those assets were made for a Switch 2 version? The whole game looks prettier, the lighting engine's overhauled, her face looks less weird. Thule looks decent, the frame rate stays consistent with all the demons flying everywhere. That on its own might warrant a purchase. But they've now had a few years to work out the kinks in the story. They've had the development of Lost Origins to make sure that they know what the hell they're talking about. YouTubers are the ones that have taught me Bayonetta lore, which is a really bad sign. In a Switch 2 edition, they add extra cutscenes, maybe the ones that you can skip, maybe it's extra little text blurbs that you can find in books scattered around or something. Maybe even just new chapters with new combat, new boss fights, that would be cool, to explain what the hell is going on. And then once the story's done and the visuals are done, that's most of the game that they didn't finish or get to. And that on its own would be like the best Switch 2 edition possible, I think. Adding extra stuff on top of that, like new costumes, new playable character maybe, that would be pushing it, but I think it would be really fun. Outside of a Bayonetta 3 Switch 2 edition, which I think would be perfect this year or next year, what do I see on Switch 2? I mean, Bayo 4 is in the works, probably, in early stages. I see it in 4, 5, maybe even 6 years. It's pretty sad to say out loud, given how long this came out, but game development these days is tough. I'm going to put bets on 4 years from now we see an announcement for Bayonetta 4. And it will not star Viola. I like Viola a lot, but her ass is not Bayonetta. Now Pokemon, starting with the spin-offs of course, we've got Pokken. I love Pokken, we're not seeing more Pokken. I think a Pokken 2 or a Pokken Deluxe or something, well it's already Pokken DX isn't it? I think a Pokken 2 or a Pokken Switch 2 edition would be pretty cool. Maybe I can cope and say that the Tekken developers are taking so long with their DLC because they are spending that dev time making Meowscarada do combos in Pokken 2 or something. But I doubt it, unfortunately. That being said, Bandai Namco is working quite closely with Nintendo this generation. Look at the FromSoft game, Dusk Bloods. Look at... I mean, that's my main point, isn't it? It could happen. I don't think it will. I think a major tell would be if we get Tekken 8 on Switch 2. Is it powerful enough? Maybe if they strip it back a little. But we got Strive on the Switch, we got Street Fighter 6 on the Switch, we've got all of the Capcom Fighting collections recently, and like the MVC one and all that. I think it's possible. Not likely, but possible. And if we do get Tekken 8 on the Switch, I think Pokken 2 has a chance in 4 or 5 years. I would love it. Now the next big one I'm going to call in a guest for, that is Pokemon Champions. I asked my competitive Pokemon friend about this. Now the audio quality in the Discord sections is a little crunchy, so I will add a timestamp if you don't want to deal with that. But I think he makes some good points, so take it away. Thanks for agreeing to this. As our resident competitive Pokemon enjoyer, what are you expecting from Pokemon Champions?
I think, okay, so Pokemon they're aware that training an actual competitive team is the worst thing ever. Like, it genuinely takes tens to, if you want a really good team with like a zero IV and attack Pokemon, so you do less swagger damage or whatever, actually getting that is like borderline impossible. It is so hard. And so they know people that actually play competitive will either go to 6v6 singles and play on Showdown like I do, or if they play VGC, they just hack them, right? Like that Ursaluna Blood Moon, do I explain it? The Ursaluna Blood Moon is, you only get one, and I don't think you can choose the IVs, like you can't soft reset, or soft resetting is really painful, so that sucks. And to actually have that competitive and be like the best thing ever, because, you know, especially like speed, like the speed really matters.
Yeah,
it's
heroes.
Yeah, well, 30 bombs, right? It's impossible. It's unlikely, and like that's why in that one tournament they just banned so many people because they all had hacked Pokemon. So my whole point with that is they know it sucks. They're aware it's terrible, and I think they're finally aware of their competitive players. So I think the main thing is it's gonna be much more accessible to make something that is competitively viable. That is my main thought.
They will allow you to properly gen them, or just make it easier?
I think there would be some form of grinding, but it would be a lot easier. Maybe
like that.
It doesn't even have to be in the traditional sense of Pokemon. Like maybe you play like a mini game or something and makes your guys just like epic.
Like
instead of like instead of, you know, EV training or, you know, using bottle caps or whatever, that kind of sucks.
And what are you personally hoping from it?
I'm one of the few people that actually enjoy competitive, obviously. I'm hoping it's just straight up like the whole turn-based RPG system where it's like 4 attacks, abilities, whatnot. Like that's interesting and all, but you're gonna get that out of the main game anyway, right? Like anyone can play a Wi-Fi battle and play 6v6 or VGC, or, you know, just play Pokemon, right? So I'm hoping the mechanics and the systems are at least a little bit different. Maybe, actually, one thing I do hope is it doesn't have to be word for word, bar for bar, but I hope they adopt some of the fan-made Smogon rules, like sleep clause, which I had in Stadium. Yeah, sleep clause, freeze clause, like things you couldn't actually have in a battle because, you know, the actual Pokemon
evasion
you play. Yeah, evasion.
Poor Frostlass.
An unrealistic hope is that it would be there'd be high levels of fan, at least like not fan service of fans, but like understanding what the fans want,
and polls and things.
And that yeah, but like if like something's a problem, they can do it quickly instead of like when Yeah, like when the actual Pokemon company is running, like VGC, for example, like they don't actually. I don't know if they don't know or they don't care, but like in VGC, Fluttermane is pretty much always legal. Which Fluttermane's
Which is a
is
bit
the most
unhealthy.
broken thing ever. Yeah, it's overbearing to a ridiculous degree, and that would get banned yesterday. So I would hope for some community engagement, but yeah, that's about it.
No, I would agree. I'm just wondering how the hell they're gonna handle having all of the gimmicks in one place. Do you think there would be different rule sets, like you choose if you want to play Megas or Z moves or Terra, or is it all going to be together?
It is a lot together. Like they have this on Showdown. It's like Nat decks. You can do that.
Yeah,
and like Nat decks.
I've tried.
So many. Yeah, it's not good, is it?
No, it is completely bad game design because they just haven't thought about it.
Yeah, well, the whole point is like we'll just bring them forward and we're not going to change it, but obviously it doesn't quite work like that.
Yeah.
I think they would have to separate it. Like you can't have them together, and they could really show some type of love towards these mechanics. Like they brought back Megas, Z moves. I mean, they were kind of funny, but they weren't very good.
Gen 7 had Megas and Z moves operating together, and it was worse because of it, wouldn't you say?
As a fan of Pokemon, I didn't mind it. Like every little Timmy ever loved Megas. I thought they were the coolest thing ever.
Yeah. They are.
And then Z moves, I was like, I kind of understood they needed a gimmick, but I'm glad that they didn't just ditch Megas. Competitive definitely suffered. Like Megas are broken. I think the Z moves are worse because Z moves just enabled offense way too well. Like, I'm not the hugest lover of stall or a particularly defensive meta, but like, especially with Pokemon with Beast Boost, like, they would just get a free kill. Like, what's switching in on a grassy terrain Kartana Bloom Doom? Like, nothing. Nothing is switching in.
Yeah.
And so, like, it does that. It does its Z move, gets a free kill, whatever. You can Z move him back. No, you can't because now it's +1 and its Leaf Blade just shreds resist.
And you have to watch the trainer do a silly little dance.
Oh yeah, and the animations are ridiculous. They would have to separate them, obviously, and maybe they could do what I actually reckon would be good is instead of having different formats where people just kind of gravitate towards the ones they like, they would have it like VGC where they have like seasons where different rules and different things are allowed. So like maybe you can use a restricted Pokemon and Z moves, and then the next one it's
Mega
no restricted
Terra
Pokemon.
Season.
Oh yeah, it's Mega Terra Season. You stick them together, but they never have them together because it's just too much.
Gotcha. Now,
yeah, I hope. Oh well, I was gonna say I hope they make with DC. I hope they try and make singles good again, or at least like I like singles, but they've kind of left it in the dust.
They have.
So
like all of the Gen 9 introduced Pokemon just seem to be spitting at singles. Like look at Rage Fest.
Yeah, Rage Fist, or the big one is Palafin in my eyes. Like Palafin,
it's
switching out in singles, like you literally just lead with it. Lead with him, click, flip, turn, bang, you've got a legendary. But, it doesn't change anything.
Yeah,
but yeah, so
I agree. But back to the main question here. Do you think that the Pokemon Company will go after Showdown if Champions ends up being just a similar thing but worse?
I don't think so. They would have done it already. Like Showdown is big enough for them to know. And it depends. It depends on how much they actually care about their singles audience. If they really try and make, and it stays the same, I should mention, but if they really try and market it towards singles, then yeah, I mean, they very well could. It would be within their rights. There's no way Showdown is legal. But
it would be very sad.
Oh, I love Showdown, especially because, like I said at the start, my favorite part is that it's, well, yeah, that. But my favorite part is that it's community run, and yeah, the council fucks up. Like, the council makes errors. Like Or
before
the sleep man in Gen 9, I thought that was a bit weird. I don't like how they handled that. But it's still fan run, and they do their best, and they generally get it right. Whereas,
another 2
you
years
lose
with
that.
Cluster Man.
Oh yeah, you lose that. I just hope. Yeah, I think if it's similar, like if it's really similar, and it's worse, and they really try and cater for singles, then yeah, that'd go after Showdown.
I am very much in fear of my beloved RBYOU videos from Big Yellow being put on hold.
I mean, Big Yellow could just make them in Champions, couldn't she?
Well, what if Champions is only Gen 9 or Gen 10?
Oh, you mean like with no RY mechanics, right?
No, I mean,
Yeah,
like,
that
if they take down Showdown, all of the previous gens will go with it. No more Gens 3
Yeah.
ladder.
Oh wait, that actually really sucks.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
And
that'd
if
be
they
terrible.
do it in Champions, then they're probably not going to have the fan stuff, so you'll have to deal with, Ironhead, Jirachi, and Gen 4 even more, that kind of thing.
I don't even think they would have Gen 4 mechanic. Like, it wouldn't be the same. Like
But I'm
with
saying,
BSP, right?
even best
Like,
case
that was-
scenario, if Champions does previous formats and they take down Showdown, it's not going to be as good as the fan-made previous formats.
No, it wouldn't. It would be worse. So I hope I hope, and this is the reason Showdown stayed up, in my opinion. I hope Pokemon goes, yep, VGC. We love VGC. Wolfie Glick. Yes, please. Free engagement. And they make it doubles focus. Because that's why, like, Showdown, it does have VGC, but their main audience is 6v6 singles. Like, you go on Showdown to play 6v6. So that's what I hope. I hope it stays as VGC.
So,
Because
would
that-
I be correct to summarize your point of view as, if it is very similar and singles focused, it may be the worst thing to ever happen to the Pokemon community, but very
Look at it.
hopefully they make it doubles focused, and it's just the new platform for an interesting fan engagement doubles metagame, which would be great.
Yeah, it'd be good because, like I said with the Ursaluna tangent, it would just
It
be the
has
same thing,
potential.
except it would be the same thing, except you just get Pokemon easier.
I guess we'll
And-
find out in like a week and a half.
Really coming out that soon? I do
Well,
not
with
pay
as a
attention.
Pokemon Presents
Oh right.
very soon, and it's either going to be So Jobo or So Back. Alright, and I believe that is all I had for this section. Thank you for joining me. Look
All
forward
good,
to your
anytime.
niche internet micro celebritydom.
Yeah, me as Harold the helicopter.
Thanks for your insight, Harold. I really, really hate the Pokemon Company sometimes, and I'm praying to God that what we just discussed does not come true. We'll just have to wait and see. Other Pokemon spin-offs. We've got Pokemon Ranger. I think Pokemon Ranger on Switch 2 would work fantastically. It's been absent for a little while. It didn't get any new games in the 3DS generation, for some reason. We thought it would work on the Switch with the stylus if they wanted to do that, but they didn't. That's kind of understandable. And we haven't got DS NSO yet. I will make a video on that, actually, I think, about predicting what a DS NSO might look like. But as it stands, having a mouse mode for a new Pokemon spin-off, that would be fantastic. Pokemon Ranger, Switch 2, whatever you want to call it, Trail of Paldea, I don't know, call it whatever you want to. That would be amazing. It would work so well, it would be a great Year 2 sort of system filler. Pokemon on Switch 2 as a whole is a massive topic, and I will get to it of course, but they've put way too much of their effort in terms of spin-offs recently into lower effort games, I think. Pokemon Go, Pokemon Cafe Mix, Pokemon... I mean, they've kind of stopped with the Rumble games. Another Rumble game on the Switch wouldn't surprise me. Snap was good. New Pokemon Snap was good. The remaster of the Mystery Dungeon game was kind of lame, but most of the stuff that they're putting money into nowadays, like Unite, come on, man. Quest, put something into, like, good good game. Maybe Pokemon Ranger would fill that void. New Pokemon Snap 2 could be interesting with the much higher graphical fidelity of the Switch 2. I don't see that coming for a few years, maybe a late system seller. 5 years from now, let's go 5 years from now we get new Pokemon Snap 2. Mystery Dungeon is kind of hard for me to predict because it's a series I haven't really played, so I feel like it's possible. I feel like it's possible we get a Mystery Dungeon, but I'm not going to put any concrete bets down on when, because it doesn't really feel like it would sell the system at all. It doesn't feel like an early system title. Maybe midway through, but I'm not going to put bets on it. What else do we even have? Detective Pikachu. That guy's dead. The second game was arse. I mean, look at Archie Game. It was like $20 the other day. The game's really shit, okay? And it had troubled development from 3DS to Switch. Do I think we can get another one because the movie did well? No, honestly, I think he's dead. He didn't even get a reprint of his amiibo with Detective Pikachu Returns. No one likes that guy. It's a shame, because it's a cute concept. But Pokemon Divorce doesn't really sell, does it? Now, I'm definitely skimming over some side series. I'm sorry to all of you Pokemon Rush fans, but those are the main ones, I think. Pokemon, the main games, are a massive discussion point that I could labor on for way too many minutes, so I'm going to try and keep it brief. Legend of Zelda is coming out in October. That game is on the Switch and the Switch 2. There doesn't seem to be a massive amount of content on the Switch 2 that's not on the Switch. It's more of a performance thing. Now, why is that relevant? Little Timmy, who wants to play the new Pokemon, is not going to go out and say, Mummy, can I buy the $700 console to play the new Pokemon? Because you can just get it for the old one. Legend of Zelda will not move many Switch 2s, I don't think. Even if the frame rate is atrocious on the Switch 1, like with Scarlet and Violet. By the way, Scarlet and Violet on Switch 2 is amazing. Zelda is not the big holiday release. It will not sell Switches to children. So what is the next big Pokemon game that's going to be the Switch 2 seller? Think your X and Y on 3DS. I think that will be Gen 10. And I think Gen 10 will be announced on July 22nd, 2025. We will get a teaser. And then we will get more news in January. And then they're going to drip feed it, and the game will be released November 2026. Gen 10 is going to be set in Greece or some island nation, and it's going to be beautiful for Pokemon standards and pretty decent for Switch 1 standards in terms of visuals. But the frame rate is going to be flawless. The Pokemon designs are going to be mostly really good with some controversial ones. The power creep is going to be insane. And it's going to be an overall good game, not as good as Scarlet and Violet in terms of writing. It's going to be basic. Basic is the word I would use. They're going to expand on the open world stuff, definitely. They're going to actually introduce scaling, but it's going to be too easy. And they're not going to go super out there with the story, because that's what they did with the second game on the 3DS with Sun and Moon. The second game on the Switch with Scarlet and Violet, not Sword and Shield. I mean, even the second games on the DS, Gen 5, was much more experimental than Gen 4. I feel like they're going to keep it relatively formulaic, but expanding on the open world. And I'm looking forward to it. As I said, there is a lot to talk about with Pokemon. I'm not going to keep going, but there is a lot more I could say. Short dot point version would be, I think, ZAR is not going to be that important as a marketing thing. But Gen 10 needs to come pretty soon because, I mean, the card game is going to be held up for a while. The TV show is going to be held up for a while. Legend ZAR isn't introducing any new Pokemon, just new Megas. We know that. So they can't really keep pumping out iterative content on Scarlet and Violet that many years later. Gen 10 is coming next year. Absolutely. Here's a smaller one. Nintendo Switch Sports 2. Do I think that this game would be the best thing ever made? Absolutely not. But I do think it is realistic. Nintendo Switch Sports was a relatively late system game for the Switch 1, and it sold ridiculously, but not to the core gamer audience. So I feel that in a few years, when the Nintendo Switch 2 sort of tapers off a little bit in terms of the big game releases for hardcore gamers, then they will sort of target the casual audience again, because maybe more and more kids will have got one over those years, but the games that they're releasing might be a little bit more geared towards older audiences. Like, Metroid Prime 4 is not a little Timmy's first video game to play with the family, right, is it? Speaking of Metroid, we'll get to that later, but Nintendo Switch Sports 2 makes sense in my opinion. You can use the mouse mode, you can iterate on the Nintendo Switch Sports formula, which is just the Wii Sports formula in the trench coat, of course. The fact that they took so long to develop golf for Nintendo Switch Sports 1 is worrying. It makes me wonder if that game is going to ever come out, Nintendo Switch Sports 2, if it's the same team. Or maybe they were making Switch Sports 2 and backporting ideas from that and concepts and code to make updates for Switch Sports 1. Maybe that's why it took so long, because they were developing the rest of the Switch 2 sports game, and then once they finished a section, they would be like, yeah, get like 6 guys to put golf from 2 into 1, and then release that as an update. I don't think that that's how it would work from a game dev perspective, but if it is, that would explain it, wouldn't it? I think we see Switch Sports 2 in 3 years. But it would be called Switch 2 Sports.
Wario!
Ah, Wario. My beloved child. Yeah, I haven't actually beat many Wario games, but I love the guy, so I would be ecstatic to see any new Wario game. That being said, what do I actually expect? Well, the Switch 1 generation brought no new Wario lands, no new Wario worlds, no new Wario IPs. That is a tongue twister. But we got 2 Wario wares. Do I think we see another WarioWare on the Switch 2? Absolutely. In 3 or 4 years. No one really cares outside of, party game fans. And by that I mean mostly children, and also the person that you'll see in the long interview later. Do I think we need another WarioWare? Absolutely not. I did like Get It Together, but Move It did not seem like a me game at all. I didn't get that one. For the rest of the Wario series, I think it's time for a Wario Land comeback. Now, I've already talked about 2 Mario Universe 2D platformers that might be coming. So I don't think we get Mario Wonder 2, Donkey Kong 2D 2, and Wario Land 5 in the same system, unless they're really spread out. I could see them doing a Wario Land game at the very, very end. That would be interesting. I'm not expecting anything. I'm hoping. I think it would be really, really cool for Wario Land to come back. I mean, people love those games, that style of that game. Look at how well Pizza Tower did. Look at how well Anton Blast did on the Switch. And people really liked it when Wario Land 2 was on the Game Boy NSO, for example. Speaking of NSO, Wario World on NSO would go crazy. I don't think we see another Wario World ever again, but that would be pretty funny. It's Wario's world and we're living in it. But I don't think he comes back.
Yoshi!
Now Yoshi up there. What the hell is Yoshi gonna get? I don't think very much. We did get leaked that there is going to be a Woolly World port, which is really cool, and that will tide us over for Yoshi content for at least 3 years, I think. Crafted World was alright. Most people thought it was decent, but it wasn't anything special. And before that, Woolly World was really good, so they're putting that on the Switch too. And he hasn't had a 3D game sort of big, really, ever, has he? I think they could absolutely oversaturate the market if they put another 2D new Nintendo Mario Universe platformer out at the same time as the Mario, Donkey Kong, or Wario. And if I had to guess which one was most likely, I would say 2D Donkey Kong, then 2D Mario, then... Did you know that my phone stops recording when there is an update without telling me? Yeah, I talked into the camera about Star Fox for about 5 minutes and I'm gonna have to redo that. Oops. Just real quick, what you missed. I was finishing talking about Yoshi and how Yoshi is probably not going to get anything. And then I said that Ice Climber is definitely not coming back. and Earthbound is not coming back. We are getting a lot of new merchandise for Mother 3 and Earthbound, and that's amazing, like the books and the plushies and so on. But the main Earthbound series, I don't think it's coming back. I made that mistake last time. I said Earthbound instead of Mother. Mother is not coming back, just like your father. I also took off the suit because it was annoying, and I went and had lunch, so I'm no longer hungry. But yeah, I hope the suit bit was good enough. It's not going to come back. Now, Star Fox.
Fox.
This is one of my biggest predictions for today, and I do genuinely believe that Star Fox is coming back in a big way on Switch 2. The last thing that they had, of course, was Star Fox Zero on the Wii U, and then Star Link, Battle for Atlas on the Switch. They had a special little campaign with about 5 minutes of cutscenes, and some really cool boss fights and things. And that's where this is from. This is the Starlink R-Wing, hence the little gun things on the side. But Star Fox missed out on the Switch generation in terms of their own games. You could argue that Star Fox 2 came out during the Switch generation because that was an unreleased game that came out with the mini NES, but I would argue that that is not a new game. By definition, it is old. So what do I see for Star Fox? Well, I think if they play their cards right, they could really, really blow people away with a space visuals in HD game. Think Metroid Prime 4, it's kind of similar, but more in space. I don't think it would be the best idea to have it be an on-rails shooter, like the old Star Foxes, and I do think they should stay in the spaceships and not go out on foot too much like Star Fox Adventures, but also Star Fox Adventures is coming to NSO, GameCube, very likely, and then everyone who plays that is going to want to know who the hell Crystal is, and what's going on. So there should be some more hype for Star Fox than there has been in a while, especially because they brought Wolf back for Smash as well. People loved that. I think a Star Fox game with sort of similar gameplay to Starlink with mouse controls, which is a big point, mouse controls for aiming, amazing innovation. It would sell quite well, I think. Maybe not a holiday title, but a big year 2 title. I think we're getting Star Fox next year, and it's going to be big, lots of money put into it. Maybe Odyssey style, where there's like big open worlds that you can explore, but you go between them on a map instead of flying through space. That would be great. But yeah, bets are on Star Fox. This generation, absolutely. Next year, hopefully. What are some other smaller Nintendo franchises that I can bang out like that? F-Zero.
Captain Falcon.
F-Zero is in a weird spot again because they just did F-Zero 99, which is new F-Zero content, but not really, right? And obviously Falcon's always popular in Smash, he's always been popular. And then F-Zero GX is one of the first games on GameCube NSO. I feel like the fact that it was there at the start is maybe not the best thing for a new F-Zero game's chances, because then people would be like, introduced to the series with NSO, sure, but then if it's too similar to the new one, they might not get the new one if everyone has access to GX on its own, right? I'm hopeful, but I feel like if we do get a return to F-Zero, it's going to be in 3 or 4 years. ARMS! I love ARMS, and I would give a kidney for an ARMS 2, honestly. Shout out SNG. But I don't think it's going to happen. Reason number 1, and the biggest one, is that the Sakurai of ARMS, his name is Mr. Yabuki, he's on Mario Kart World. So he would either have to be not making ARMS 2, even though he's the guy that like pushed for it in the company. He's the guy who chose Min Min for Smash Bros. He's, you know, John ARMS. They'd either have to make it without him, or they'd be starting development now, which seems really weird if they're trying to make it sort of a casual early system life thing. Or he's on both projects, which seems unlikely. But if ARMS 2 is a smaller project, maybe. Now, ARMS sold really well. It actually sold better than all 3 Xenoblade games on the Switch. 4 now. 5 if you count Torna. It sold better than all Xenoblade games on the Switch, which is insane, right? It's in the top 50 Switch games. Haters may say that's just because it was an early system title, and that is probably fair enough. But I genuinely think ARMS might have made enough money. I mean, they put Min Min in Smash Bros, for fuck's sake. They might just get another game. I would be ecstatic if we were to see an ARMS 2. Even if it's not ARMS 2 legs, even if it's like pretty iterative and just slightly prettier. I mean, Switch 2 upgrade for ARMS happened as well, so they're clearly still kind of thinking about it. I do think it could happen. I think it would be amazing. I don't have any idea when it would be though. It could be in the next Direct and come out in like January. It could be in 3, 4, 5 years as like a late system. Okay, Yabuki's done with Mario Kart. He's free to pursue a passion project and he decides to make a more competitive ARMS 2. I don't know, but I really, really want it. The other issue with ARMS is that many people are saying DragxDrive is the new ARMS, and I vehemently disagree, but I see where they're coming from. To me, DragxDrive is the new Snipperclips, being a sort of fun little casual shorter thing that's meant to be played with multiple people. Snipperclips was making use of the fact that you can take a Joy-Con off and give it to someone with the little baby controllers. DragxDrive is of course all about the mouse mode, and I think that's going to be incredibly annoying incredibly quickly. Even just doing this, that's an unnatural motion, I think, for most people. Maybe not wheelchair users, but if you're a wheelchair user, I don't see how DragxDrive is going to be your favorite thing ever, because it's just your life simulator. You could just go play proper wheelchair basketball, you know? Besides the funny name, DragxDrive is pretty funny. There's not much interesting in that game, I don't think. It looks visually incredibly bland. The thing about ARMS is that it has so much personality. The characters, the music, the stages, the lore, the visuals are beautiful, right? It's super colorful and popping and everything is amazingly well designed. DragxDrive looks like it is a prototype with stand-in, like a Dragon King on the N64. It looks like a sort of tech demo, even. I hate to use that term, especially because Welcome Tour makes fun of it a little bit, but it does look like a tech demo. They're set in like this empty concrete room with like grey everything, but I can kind of see the parallel if they want to show off, oh, ARMS you punch, DragxDrive you do that. But DragxDrive is an eShop title. ARMS was a full price release. You might argue that they are doing this because people complained ARMS was a full price title, and that way the DragxDrive, I almost said drink, DragxDrive is ARMS. If they were to redo it again, they'd make it cheaper. I disagree. I think it's just a smaller title. I don't think Nintendo would learn. I think an ARMS 2 would be $80. Long story short, DragxDrive, I think, is going to be a nothing title that everyone forgets about. They're not going to push it very much after launch. It was made quickly and cheaply as a sort of tech demo. Camera turned off again, guys. I'm tweaking. Long story short, DragxDrive is a more creatively bankrupt, smaller title that's probably going to work very well, and no one's going to care about it. Same as 1-2 Switch, that is not coming back. Everybody 1-2 Switch killed the brand.
Me.
Rhythm Heaven and Miitopia. They are both confirmed to be coming, so I don't really have very much to say. I think Rhythm Heaven is going to be quite similar to the old ones and not incredibly exciting. Same with Miitopia. I don't mind. I'm a big Rhythm Heaven enjoyer. I'll probably get it. Miitopia, I don't care. But because we've already got announcements for those, I can't really say much here. Speaking of ones we already have announcements for, let's talk about Metroid.
Samus.
Take it away.
Thanks for being here. Let's talk about Metroid on Switch and Switch 2. Are you excited for Prime 4?
I mean, how could I not be? I don't know. Prime 4, it just... after Metroid Prime Remastered, it's just been... They've shown us that they can make a Metroid Prime game that looks amazing. And with the power of the Switch 2, I'm so excited to see how it looks, everything.
And after Metroid Dread, it feels less... It feels like the series is back, right?
Yes. Yeah. The success of both Prime Remastered and Dread, and now with all the hype surrounding Prime 4, it's awesome.
So, do you think that we will then see a Prime 1 Remastered Switch 2 edition to match the graphical fidelity of Prime 4? And, like, use the mouse and stuff?
See, Ooh, I mean the mouse controls would be nice. The only thing I would say is the main thing that Prime Remastered needs to match the Switch to like stuff is resolution. I played it on the Switch 2 because it was one of the first games that I played on the Switch 2 because I was like, I want to see how this runs.
You said it was a little bit noticeable.
It was noticeably like you could tell that it was like built for the sort of 720p esque. It was a little bit choppy, but other than that, like the game performed perfectly. So yeah, resolution
So you
boost is
think
all
it-
that it really needs.
Doesn't really need a Switch 2 edition. What about Prime 2 and 3? Do you think we're getting those in like a complete remaster like the first one, or just a straight port, or what how do you think we're getting those?
I don't know whether they're going to. It feels like they almost had a missed opportunity to, like, it almost feels like the window for them to release a Prime 2 and 3 remastered has
It's
almost
gone.
ended. Other than that, I think they could really use it. They could very well use the remaster, but I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately.
I see. Just not enough time from now, and it would be weird to release them after 4.
Yes.
So we don't have a release date yet, do we? Do you think that Metroid Prime 4 will be the big holiday game of 2025?
Unless Nintendo reveals something soon, something big soon. It's the only thing I can think of other than Pokemon, and Pokemon's not exactly like first-party Nintendo, so...
And they're both on the Switch 1 as well as the 2.
That's true as well. And honestly, I wonder whether that's purposeful because they're the holiday releases. They're not expecting everyone to have the Switch 2 yet. I mean, obviously, if it can... It was probably mostly because they were in development before considering whether the Switch 2 would be out or not, but...
Yeah, it's been pushed back a bit, but I feel like it would be a really bad business decision to make your big game for the year not only target a specific audience of older gamers, but also have the ability to buy it on the previous console. Because that way you're not moving systems with it. No one's going to buy a Switch 2 specifically for a game that they can already play on their Switch, but prettier, are they?
You are completely correct. However, I don't... I wouldn't have chosen this as a business decision. I just can't think of, like, if Donkey Kong didn't have a release date at this point. If we knew that it was coming, then I would have thought that that would be the thing.
I do
But
have a section
I don't know.
in the rest of the video where I address this point, and I don't know at what point I'm inserting your interview, so I won't give spoilers, but I have some ideas. So
Okay.
look forward to the video.
Will do.
Alright, my next question would be, for 2D Metroid, do you think that it's feasible that Metroid 6 comes so soon after Metroid Dread? And when I say so soon, I mean at any point in the Switch 2 lifecycle.
Yeah, I think Metroid 6 would be cool. I don't know where they go story-wise, but...
It's the
I
end
mean,
of the timeline, right?
Dread is the end of the timeline at the moment, and
Yeah.
it's pretty much ended with, oh no, Samus is now embracing Metroid, and actually it might be a bad thing.
Metroid is the Metroid.
Yeah, Metroid is the Metroid, exactly. I've heard rumors of maybe having a Super Metroid remake.
That seems very unnecessary.
It's in a weird spot where it's unnecessary, but it's necessary, because if you've played a lot of Super Metroid, then the movement feels great, responsive, everything, and you know exactly what to do at all times. But if you haven't, it has a very steep learning curve. Like, it feels really bad until you get good at it.
I just mean I don't think we should be remaking good games.
That's true. And
that-
the biggest thing that I thought about was, even though Super Metroid, in my opinion, the worst part of it is the combat, which is something that Dread did really well. If you were to introduce, like, if you were to remake it in the Dread-like engine, you'd have some problems with the world design and like making sure everything still works.
Yeah.
And especially the biggest thing that comes to mind is wall jumps, because they might be janky in Super Metroid, but like they're such an awesome part of the game, and they need to be like remade
It would
perfectly.
be hard to do. It would be really
the
hard
dra-
to make a faithful good remake.
Yeah, the dread wall jumps are like, they just jump you away from the wall. You have to use a speedrun tech to get multiple jumps on the single wall.
Hmm.
But yeah, either way.
So you think for Metroid 6 they might, but you haven't got any bets on yes?
I haven't got any bets on. It'll happen at some point, I'm sure.
In the Switch 2
It's
life
just-
cycle?
Probably in the Switch. Well, it depends on how long the Switch 2 life cycle is. If it's another 7
Let's say
years, then
7
yeah,
years.
definitely.
Yeah.
If it's another 7 years, then definitely. Otherwise, maybe not. But Mercury Steam did such a good job with the previous one. It's like,
If you had to put down a year,
if I had to put down a year,
when are we getting Metroid 6?
ooh, it'd be 27 or 28 probably around then.
Alright,
I feel like there's
let's
not
come back in a couple of years.
like. Yeah.
Alright, then my next question would be the last question. What Metroid game, any kind, would be your absolute most dream next entry? For me, I think an Other M Kiwami with retcons would be really cool. Call it like Other M, maybe Original M. That would be my favorite, but what would your absolute best Metroid next game be?
That's really tough. I don't know. I mean, ooh, because yeah, Other M is like
It's
in a
integral
weird
to the
spot.
plot, but it's not good.
in a weird way, it's less integral to the plot than you'd think.
That's what I mean. I feel like that kind of game is the kind that we should be re-ranking, and not Super Metroid.
Yeah, that's true. From a gameplay perspective, it probably is just Metroid 6. I can't think back to Metroid, or other than like if we did end up with a Prime 2 and 3 remaster. I can't think back to like the older games and go, do any of these like actually deserve to have a remake? Because they all have like they were all, well, okay, other than the original, which already got one. So
Yeah,
like Zero Mission is a
Zero
really good
Mission
game.
is now the original, and then Return of Samus is Metroid 2, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. But other than that, I don't know. I really like the 2D Metroid formula, probably a little bit more than the Prime games. I still love both, but honestly, a new 2D Metroid would be really cool. It'd be interesting to see where they go with it.
Yeah, alright. So you're locking in Metroid 6. And you expect
Yeah.
your dream game in 2 years. That's brave. I don't think we're seeing other M, but that would be cool.
Yeah, I don't think other M is gonna be a thing.
And given that we're only talking about Metroid today, I think that's all I had for you. Thank you very much for
Awesome.
coming in.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
I did not have a funny quip here, so I think I might just end the interview.
Okie doke.
Well,
Thanks for your contribution. I'm not the biggest Metroid fan, I couldn't have told you that. Chibi Robo. I don't think Chibi Robo has a chance at coming back after what this game did to him. As some would say, this game blows, right? It's a poorly done, cheap, insulting video game. And it goes to show that Nintendo doesn't care about him as a part of their brand anymore. Although Chibi Robo on GameCube NSO might be good. I'm not sure where they're going to go with him, if at all. I feel like he might get a small, mid-system eShop title at best. Don't expect Chibi Robo. Same with Steel Diver, don't expect Steel Diver to come back, as much as I love it. Kid Icarus, though, I think has a shot in a few years. Now, Mr. Sakurai, we know that he's working on Kirby Air Riders. That's, he's told us that. if there is a new Smash Bros. Game, he's probably at least an advisor on the project, maybe not the director or producer, but he's probably there somewhere. And that's already 2 things in his schedule. I don't think he can direct Kid Icarus Uprising 2 at the same time. If he does, it'll start development now and be done in 4 or 5 years, right? And I do think that is realistic. I do think that they've seen how much people loved Uprising in the 3DS era. I'm losing my marbles. This has happened 3 times. Okay. I was trying to say, Kid Icarus is realistic in 3 to 5 years. Because Sakurai has been busy with Ultimate and so on, I don't think he had time during the Switch era. Now, about Smash Bros. I could talk the most about Smash Bros. Followed by Pokemon, so I will try and keep it brief.
Continue!
I think that Smash has 2 very distinct pathways it can go down. Number 1, Smash Ultimate Switch 2 Edition with more shit. And sort of, I guess, 3 pathways then. Path number 2 would be the same thing, but it's not branded as a Switch 2 Edition, and it's just Smash Ultimate 2, Smash Ultimate Deluxe, something like that, right? Smash Ultimate Plus probably makes more sense than Ultimate Deluxe. And what that would be the same base game, maybe improved visuals a little bit, not a ton of work done, some balance changes, a couple new characters, maybe, a couple new stages, maybe, quality of life, and hopefully they would see the community response and integrate better netcode. I'm not sure if that would be too much work for a Switch 2 edition, it might be, but given how much Smash is sold, I feel like they can afford it. So Smash Ultimate, but again, or the other pathway would be to completely reinvent the series and move forwards in a different way. Now, what form that may take, I don't know. Some have said it might be better to sort of rethink the game as a whole, redo everyone's movesets, cut the roster down to 10 or 20. And I think that would be really cool from a fighting game fan perspective, but really lame from a Smash Bros. Fan perspective. Because the fun part of Smash is often, look, that guy's in the game, look, they're all together, right? And if they try and take the game in a more competitive direction, that's cool, but I feel like they're going to lose a lot of the kids as well. You might say, well, they can just play Ultimate, it's on the system as well, and that is true. But I think, and this is controversial, I would prefer Smash Ultimate but more over a complete redo. If we do get a Smash Ultimate 2, Smash Ultimate Switch 2 version or whatever, I'm expecting it this year or next year. Early on is important, I think. Especially because Ultimate's DLC finished quite a few years ago at this point. It feels like it didn't. But Sora was 2021. That's 4 years ago. They've had to have been working on something all that time. But yeah, I love Smash Bros. I also love Xenoblade, but I'm not as knowledgeable about Xenoblade as my friend. So, time for another interview. Take it away.
Hi, thanks for joining me. I've got a lot to discuss with you, so let's start with Xenoblade.
Why are you doing YouTuber voice?
I'm not doing the YouTube. I'm gonna cut it out, but like what we're saying right now. I did the same corny voice for the first sentence of everyone else's, so I'm doing the theme. Thanks for joining me. I've got a lot to discuss with you, so let's start with Xenoblade. Where do you see the series going after having played X Definitive and the ending of Xenoblade 3's DLC?
So, am I allowed to talk spoilers?
Try to not be like the most spoilery.
You're asking about the endings of the games and where it's going to go next. And
No, that is fair. Fine, you can use spoilers.
So with the ending of Echo, just the most recent Xenoblade game, it heavily suggests that Elmer and Lynn and Cross and the rest of the X cast are going to appear in a future title because they are going with the White Whale to across different universes, because they have continued to explore the collective unconscious and more like Xenosaga related themes of the imaginary number domain.
Right. Does that link up with Xenoblade at all?
So this is also linked up with Xenoblade Freeze DLC, because in Freeze DLC you have Defector Industries logo, you have, I can't remember his name, but a reference to one of the main characters in Xenosaga, and also if you're to let intellectual properties, you see the Xenosaga is now part of Xenoblade Freeze intellectual properties, which it wasn't before the DLC. So it heavily suggests some sort of continuing link between Xenosaga, Xenoblade, and Xenoblade X, although they could always take it somewhere else, given we are now at the end of the Klaus saga.
So you want to see it, or you think they'll do a convergence of things, even though 3 was meant to be sort of the end of the Xenoblade?
There will probably be some sort of convergence. I don't think they'll do Xenoblade X2, but I feel like you might have some X characters appear, or you have something like a Xenosaga remake, depending on how much they want to lean into Xenoblade and Xenosaga's connections, because I'm a big Xenoblade fan. I haven't played the Xenosaga games yet.
What if the convergence is a Warriors game?
Xenoblade Warriors is always something that's kind of made sense, especially given you have Fire Emblem Warriors, but the big problem you have is all the Xenoblade games are relatively important to each other. Like, arguably the least important Xenoblade game would be either X or Torna, because there aren't any direct links. However, there isn't really a piece of filler material in the Xenoblade canon, and Warriors games are often a bit more filler.
I see. So if you had to guess, are we getting Xenoblade Warriors, Xenoblade 4, Xenosaga port/remake, Xenoblade 2 Definitive Edition, because it's been almost that long, a Switch 2 edition of it, or something totally new first?
We're getting something totally new, the Monolith Soft, like, medieval fantasy game we got concept art a couple years back.
I don't even know what you're talking about, but I'll take your word for it.
Let me find it. This, where are you? You're here as concept art for a new medieval, and this definitely isn't Xenoblade 3.
Yeah, that's ACEGIK.
We got this back in 2018.
Right, and if you had to pick your ideal game from the Xeno universe?
Oh, probably a Xenosaga trilogy port or remake, just to make the games more accessible. However, Xenoblade 4 would also be quite good. Xenoblade Warriors would be fun, but if I were to make a choice between a new Xenoblade game and a new Xenoblade Warriors game, a new Xenoblade game would of course be my preference.
I see. Now, Monolith Soft works super quickly, and they've been called on by a ton of other studios to work on big projects, like Zelda, of course, and they were involved in Mario Kart World's World, weren't they?
Yes. And
when would you... Yeah, see, tons of stuff. When would you predict a new project announcement, given how busy they've been?
Late next year. Early
Like next
2027.
Well,
Because
that's a very solid prediction. I can fact check you on later.
I would never spread misinformation. I'm not you. But more so because we've had a somewhat consistent release schedule of Xenoblade 2 was 2017, 2's DLC was 2018, a remake was 2020, and 3 was 2022. Then we had Xenoblade 3 in 2022, 3's DLC in 2023, X remake in 2025. That means 2027 might be Xenoblade 4.
Are you on
This
Wikipedia, or are you just...
No, I just remember this.
I see. Well, I would like a Xenoblade Warriors the most, I think.
Yeah, but we just are getting the new Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame. Alright, that's enough Xenoblade. Moving on. What the hell is going on with Splatoon? Raiders just got announced out of nowhere, not in a direct.
What do you mean? It was announced like a month ago.
That's just recently. And 3 was too late to be on the Switch 1 and 2. It was like a cross-plat. So when can we expect 4?
Oscar, Splatoon 3 was 2022.
That feels like yesterday, James.
Oscar, that was 3 years ago.
I'm gonna kill you.
So we'll probably see Splatoon. Well, it depends when Raiders comes out and what Raiders actually is, because we didn't get a release window for Raiders. We didn't get if it's a full price game or if it's a smaller game, but still like a full retail game, something like Bayonetta Origins, or if it's like an eShop game like Kirby Fighters 2. I feel like Raiders might come out late this year, early next year. However, I'm leading towards sometime next year just because we didn't get a 2025 release date at the end. And then probably Splatoon 4 2027, 2028. So there'll be like a 5-6 year gap.
It just feels really strange to me to not want to launch your console with the big online competitive game, because Mario Kart's like super
DragxDrive.
very funny. Yeah, but you know, Mario Kart's super casual. I think it would be strange to not give your competitive audience something, and Splatoon in like super HD with mouse controls seems like an easy sell.
Oh, you have is Splatoon 3 still a bit too recent, or like Splatoon?
That's what I'm saying.
3 just finished up its new content in 2024 because the game just gets supported for 2 years. We did just get an update for the Switch 2, which adds like Merchant Underpass and third weapon kits, so that will keep people happy for a while. But yeah, I feel like with Raiders, you're not going to want to have Splatoon 4 immediately afterwards, which means probably, 2027, 2028.
Next up, we got Fire Emblem. You played Engage, but we knew that had been done for years. So when do you see the next Fire Emblem game? And do you think we'll see something new, or Thracia 776?
Oh, so we've had... It was not Thracia that's been leaked.
I thought it was Thracia.
No,
see, that's why you're here, the expert.
From memory, it is it's FE4.
Which one's that?
That's been rumored. Genealogy of the Holy War.
Oh.
So
that's 776.
That's the one with Sigurd.
Right, I see. So do you think we're going to see a remake or a new game next?
So I feel like, well, given that's been talked about for a while, we'll probably see the remake next. But I wouldn't be surprised if a new game happens and then we just never hear about the remake, because that's how leaks are. I feel like next year is probably a good time for it to come out, just because Fire Emblem games often release relatively consistently.
It's so that we can have the new protagonist in Smash.
Well, not even that. Well, what? Awakening, I want to say it was 2013?
It was early 3DS.
Yeah, then you had Fates. No, Awakening was 2012. Fates was like 2014, 15, and the remake was 2017.
That sounds about right, yeah, because it was in Switch era with Arm and Celica.
And then you had Fire Emblem Warriors on top of that. Then you had Three Houses in 2019, and Engage in 2023. So yeah, I feel like next year, that's probably something that will be announced at the next Direct of the new Fire Emblem game with a 2026 release. It could come out late this year. If it's a remake, that's more likely. If it's a new game, that's less likely.
Yeah, Fire Emblem 4 remake. That's the big holiday title.
That's what we all want.
Yeah. Okay. So given how don't make me sad. Given how dog shit Three Houses looked visually, do you think that the new one will be anything special graphically with all that power and all that dev time?
Oh, so I don't think Three Houses looks terrible, but I agree it doesn't look the best.
Come on, Garrig Mark.
Compared to other first-party Switch games, cough cough, every Pokemon game.
We are not trying to say that it's not that bad because Pokemon is abysmal.
Cough cough, Game Builder Garage.
That game looks prettier. But yeah.
Also, Fire Emblem's never been like a graphical powerhouse. I definitely think the next game will look really good just because of how good Engage looks.
Engage was much more stylized though, wasn't it? Much more cartoony and bright.
Well, it was slight, like it was definitely more stylized, but there's also just so many more small additions, like with all of the attacks, with the terrain actually being 3D, having more destructible elements. Like, Engage is such a better Fire Emblem game if you're talking about how it looks and how it plays. It's just the story really doesn't matter.
Haya Papaya is the only character I know in the game.
What's her name?
Alright, lastly, I haven't got a massive script here, but what do you see regarding your franchises on the Switch 2? The Tales, Trails, Atelier, anything that you played that the rest of us don't. What are your thoughts of their future on the Switch 2?
Okay, where to begin? Let's start with what we already know. Trails Beyond the Horizon is getting a Switch 2 release. It's a Game Key cards release, and it pushed back the rest of the releases to January next year, but we already know Trails Beyond the Horizon is getting a Switch 2 version. Atelier, we know that the next game, Atelier Resleriano, the Red Alchemist and the White Guardian, isn't currently getting a Switch 2 release. However, I feel like the next game after that, it'd be Inficient 2, be a new series, though they always seem to do trilogies, so it's either going to be Yumiya 2 or a new game set in the Inficient world, would probably get a Switch 2 version. Other series, Freedom Planet 3, no. What other games? Metaphor Fantasio feels likely to get a port. It's basically confirmed that FF7 Remake and Rebirth are getting ports. Hi-Fi Rush getting a port would make sense.
Even though the studio's gone?
Well, they're not gone. Pengo
I thought-
Gameworks got bought up by a different...
I thought half the devs got laid off after the game did well, and people were mad.
Yeah, but then they got bought up by a different company. I can't remember which one. Tango Gameworks is still a thing. They are owned by Cinemax.
I see.
We'll continue getting... So we already have another Tales of Remastered project, which is going to come out at some point this... Well, we know it's going to be announced this year in the summer, or in the winter for us, Australia. But... yeah, which is probably going to be the leaked Exilia remaster that we got boxed up for last year.
I think that's enough, James, discussion, so that you're not half the video, no offense.
I have so much more to talk about.
Not with your games.
Well, yeah, I
Sonic
do.
isn't your game.
What do you mean, Oscar? I played so many Sonic games.
I've played so many Sonic games.
No, you haven't.
I've beaten very few, but I've played a lot.
See, I could have talked about like the Trails in the Sky second chapter remake. Well, that hasn't been confirmed yet, but with the way that first chapter ends, you kind of need to do a second chapter remake unless you're an insane person.
Well, thanks for coming in today. That is enough James Gaming. Your section might be the longest, because I am not a JRPG guy, but thank you very much. Look forward to the full release.
Play Trails in the Sky first chapter.
He makes some good points. Bit long, but you know, what can you do? We're getting through the big Nintendo franchises pretty quick, I think. Kirby's up next.
Kirby!
Kirby's in a really weird spot at the moment. Because, I mean, he's got the Forgotten Land Switch 2 edition with, like, extra DLC content. And that's a decent release, right? But Kirby was pumping out games on the Switch. He had 50,000 eShop titles, and Forgotten Land, and Return to Dreamland Deluxe, and Star Allies, and it just keeps going, right? I think we will see that slow down on Switch 2 just a little. They might have seen the response to Forgotten Land and greenlit another one to come out in 3 or 4 years. I think maybe a year 3 major title would be Kirby Forgotten Land 2 equivalent. Maybe it's not titled that. Kirby and the Sunken Seabed. There you go. It's like Mad Max. The ocean's like gone or something like that. Whatever. I don't see it coming early in the Switch 2 lifecycle. Maybe that's why they put the Forgotten Land DLC content into a Switch 2 edition, to hold people over until then, to tide them over. See pun. Maybe some eShop titles. Maybe. I'm not the biggest Kirby guy. I think he's kinda cool. You can tell because I can buy product. Luigi makes me gassy. Speaking of big holiday titles, this year is a bit of an anomaly. People are saying that the big system seller is Pokemon Legends ZA, which I already said I disagree with. Metroid Prime 4, which looks like it's going to be good, but again, not really a system seller because it's on both Switch and Switch 2, and it's also not really for little kids, right? Like, Breath of the Wild is a system seller, but I feel like it's more approachable for a parent to buy their kid a fantasy game rather than a sci-fi one with similar levels of violence. I'm not sure why. Maybe that's a me problem. But Mario, your Donkey Kong, that kind of thing sell systems, right? The way I see it, we've got 4 options for 2025 December or November games. Number 1, a new IP, something completely new that blows our socks off. I don't see it happening, I can't think of it, but then again, that's the whole point. They're making something I wouldn't have thought of, otherwise someone would have already done it. So, number 1's a new IP. Number 2 is a 3D Mario, which again, seems weird if we're going to have Donkey Kong and then Mario. But like I said, they could get people to buy Donkey Kong and then announce Mario. Seems unlikely to me, but maybe. Number 3 is an Animal Crossing, which is why I talked about that at the start. But I would say, no, it's not happening this year. I don't think at all. And number 4, nintendogs. Now this is a big one. I may have plagiarized this idea from someone else, possibly Arlo, but it makes so much sense to me that they would develop a new nintendogs for the Switch 2. It felt like a shoe-in for the Switch. I mean, we had them on DS, we had them on 3DS. The Switch was like in everyone's hands, and it's a bigger screen, it's still portable, but they didn't do another one. So I think making a really pretty nintendogs on Switch 2 would make all the sense in the world. Maybe it's an eShop title, but I feel like they could put enough money into it that it's a good December game. Now, I wouldn't buy it, but I'm sure it would move a lot of Switch 2s for little kids, absolutely.
Olimar!
For Pikmin, I absolutely expect a Pikmin 4 Switch 2 edition. Once again, I'll refer you to Arlo's video talking about why that's a great idea. I don't see 5 coming out for a number of years, but I do think that it would be in development, just because 4 sold well, 3 sold well, they put 1 and 2 on Switch, they greenlit the phone game. They've clearly got more faith in Pikmin than we thought they did. I mean, at Super Nintendo World in Japan, it's just Mario. They've recently added Donkey Kong, but before that it was just Mario. It was Super Mario World, featuring Pikmin. There were a few Pikmin you could find around the park, which I thought was quite cute. So clearly they think of them as one of their bigger franchises. I think Pikmin 5 is coming in 4 years. That's my bet. 4 years from now. 2025, 6, 7, 8, 2028, middle of the year, Pikmin 5. Maybe a side project before then, but I doubt it. Zelda. Now, Zelda's a massive franchise, of course. It is one of the core Nintendo franchises. It may have seemed strange that I didn't speak about it up until now. Firstly, I've got to say, I'm not happy with the new Warriors game. I would much rather another crossover one rather than more Age of Calamity style, sort of mostly non-canon, maybe canon, lame-ass shit. Now, I'm not saying the game's going to be bad, but I'm not looking forward to it, and I'm not going to buy it day one. The gameplay might be great, the frame rate might be great, but the point of a Warriors game is to turn your brain off and go, I could be the boat guy, or I could be Skull Kid, he's cool, right? At least that is to me. And so something like Age of Calamity was really cool, but the novelty kind of wore off after a bit. I did most of the things in the game, but it wasn't fun enough to keep me playing and buy the DLC. And this just feels like more DLC for that game. I think they should move away from the Breath of the Wild universe, honestly. I'm not the biggest proponent of everything needs to be canon. I think that would be really, really cool if it was, but I'm not going to get pissy if a game isn't canon, which is why I don't mind that Breath of the Wild is separate to the Zelda timeline, okay? But I think we've lingered on the Breath of the Wild bubble long enough, and maybe we should go back to the original timeline, or do something new. Now, Tears was a bit of a disappointment to me. Visually, it's stunning. Gameplay, incredibly good from a technical perspective. Everything else was lame. I didn't like it that much. It's still like an 8 or 9 out of 10 video game, though. I just think that we've had enough in that universe. We've had Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Age of Calamity, now the new Hyrule Warriors. Let's move on, right? We had Echoes of Wisdom, which was a pleasant surprise, but I think a new Zelda lead 3D game would be cool. Give us a new slew of characters, give us a new world, just give me something new, alright? We've had the same Breath of the Wild bubble world since the late Wii U, right? The late Wii U, we are now 10 years in the future. I'm not going to predict exactly when the new Zelda title is, because Tears took so long, and they're probably not going to want to step away from the open world style, at least for the main games. They sort of dug themselves a hole in that sense, in that they can't step down the intensity without doing something drastic, really. Maybe a super gritty story-driven game with a much smaller world would sell, but the average consumer thinks, oh, Zelda's like it's like Skyrim, right? Most people haven't played something like Twilight Princess nowadays, which is sad to say. But if I had to guess, I would say very end of the system's lifespan, we get another big Zelda game with one smaller size Zelda game, maybe Echoes of Wisdom size, in 2 years. That's my guess. And Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD are mashed together and put in one cartridge for $80 US. Next year. Now, to tell you more about the Switch 2 edition of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, I hand you over to...
Hi, thanks for coming in tonight. First, I gotta ask, how's Zelda in 4K 60 on the Switch 2?
It's so beautiful. I love being able to see every single blade of grass.
Is that it?
What else do you want me to say?
Do you think it was a worthwhile purchase to get the Switch 2 upgrade?
I mean, the app doesn't come with the regular version, right? You have to get the upgrade.
I don't know. Have you been making
No.
use of like the Zelink iMessages voice message thing?
It's been nice being able to have a reason to go back to the game. It's definitely given me more motivation to get the Koroks now that I have an actual map to look at. And also, it is kind of funny to think about, but the Google Maps voice navigation, at first it sounds stupid, but the fact that you can just listen to it and not have to look over at another screen every now and then to know where you're going is really nice. Plus,
So you
seeing all
would-
my stats, yeah, it's been good.
Okay, I'm still not buying it, but cool. The next thing I've got to ask about is, given that you are our From Software glazer, what do you think of the Duskbloods trailer?
First, I was like, holy, we're about to get Bloodborne 2 on Nintendo Switch. And Bloodborne is one of my favorite games of all time. But for some reason, I don't know what it was, as the trailer went on, my hype went down,
Is it
which
because
is
it
something I've
wasn't
never really
Bloodborne brand?
experienced. No, I don't mind it being not Bloodborne, because I'll pretty much play any FromSoft game. I think it was later on the night that I watched the trailer, I found out that the game was like a battle royale.
Yeah, that's pretty
And-
lame.
It's not that that's a bad thing. I don't mind them experimenting with new genres. It's just,
People were quite underwhelmed with the Elden Ring DLC recently, weren't they?
yeah, I heard a lot of complaints about how the world was structured and how the bosses were. Not that I have much experience with it, because I haven't played the DLC.
So will you get Duskbloods?
I'll probably give it a try if it's on sale, but I probably won't be getting it day one.
Okay. Assuming Bloodborne is in purgatory still on PS4 and 5, is there any FromSoft projects that you'd like to see come to Switch 2 that isn't already announced? Is there anything left?
I mean, Dark Souls 1 is already on there, but I think Dark Souls 2 and 3, and maybe Sekiro should be ported over. I think FromSoft has been able to put out consistent titles, and giving Nintendo fans like a chance to have those experiences on there would be really nice.
Do you think that Dark Souls 2 and 3 would get amiibo also? Because I quite liked Solera Vestora.
Is
there
I
anyone
don't think
with that
it's
much aura?
impossible. I can definitely see the Soul of Cinder, which is like the final boss and the guy on the box from 3.
Oh,
2,
John
you
Dark
could
Souls.
probably just yeah.
Right.
You could probably have like the box art guy from 2 as well, but there's not many
There's
that
no
recognizable.
level.
Yeah, Solera's iconic, even for the whole series.
I see. Okay, and I think that is about it for you. Thank you for coming into the studio. One
Thanks for
last
inviting
thing.
me.
Should I try Elden Ring on Switch 2 or PS4?
I think Switch 2 would be a more reasonable choice if you have one.
I do not. The answer I was expecting there was yes, but thanks.
Alrighty then.
Thanks for your insight on FromSoft as well there. That was very cool. Now, most of this video is, of course, about first-party offerings, obviously. Obviously, right? But not always. Not always. I'm going to have a much bigger section at the end where I talk about all the third-party stuff, and it's going to be a lot less in detail because, you know, it's much easier to point to Nintendo stuff on Nintendo systems. When I'm talking about what Ace Attorney might do, that's not necessarily a Nintendo discussion, so we'll get to that stuff at the end. But thanks for the FromSoft. It's getting close, guys. We're scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Little Mac.
Punch-Out. I don't think Punch-Out's coming back. I'm going to say it. Punch-Out isn't going to sell nowadays. I think it would be awesome. Many of my friends would think it would be awesome. But if they do a traditional Punch-Out style game, it's going to be too hard. It's going to be not enough content. It's going to be too short. Well, I guess that's content, isn't it? See, I'm really good at not scripting things. But Punch-Out would not sell in this day and age unless it is a smaller eShop title, I think. Now, people know Little Mac from Smash Bros, but I don't think that brand recognition is even to the same degree as, like, Star Fox. Like, everyone knows Fox-only Final Destination, no items is a thing. Not everyone knows who the green guy from the punching game is. So I don't think he'd sell copies, that's my point. They could do something really funny and do a Little Mac crossing over with Fitness Boxing, because the Fitness Boxing series has Fitness Boxing 2, Fitness Boxing Fist of the North Star, and Fitness Boxing Hatsune Miku. They could add a Little Mac version easily. And that would be cool, not the same thing, but it would be cool, and I'd like it. I'm predicting we do not see any Punch-Out, unfortunately. Speaking of fitness, Ring Fit Adventure 2 on Switch 2 makes sense as a mid-year sort of title. It's not going to be an exciting thing, but I think it would sell decently well. I think it's not going to make use of any of the Switch 2's new features. And when I say features, I mean the fact that it's stronger and it has mouse. I don't see how that would be useful in doing push-ups. But I do think it is realistic to get Ring Fit Adventure 2 in the middle of some direct in a year and a half or 2 years as a relatively mid-system life cycle game. I'm going to put bets on we do see Ring Fit return in some form. I realized I should be pointing at the camera like this, like a Smiling Friends character more. Let's see here, we've got, yep, I've done that one, that was the Xenoblade one. I've done the Pokemon one, done the Metroid one, I've done the Zelda and FromSoft one. Who am I missing? Aha! This will be a perfect segue into the third-party section. Take it away.
Thanks for joining me tonight. As a resident expert, I'd like to ask for a few words on Hollow Knight Silksong first, please. The elephant in the room is, of course, when are we seeing it release?
Oh, I'm hopefully thinking that it'll be released sometime before December, according to what we know from like the ACMI showcase that's happening then, and
Haven't they like trolled us a bunch of times before where it'll be like this year and it isn't though?
well, we do know that it is going to be shown off like at a physical like event sometime this year. So I'm gonna hope that it does happen in like the next 2 months or so.
I see. I mean, I don't know. That's why I'm asking you. I didn't know that they had confirmed that it was going to be at a thing later, so that's promising. Do you think that Team Cherry, shout out to the fellow Aussies, will be working more closely with Nintendo than other companies, like because it was in the Direct? Or do you think it'll be day one everywhere?
I think it'll be day one everywhere in the same vein that well, Deltarune was day one everywhere as well, wasn't it?
I thought it was switched for one day and then it was everywhere.
No, I know for sure that it was released on Steam as well.
Oh, well, that is why you are here.
On that day. Yeah. I think at the very least, yes.
Awesome.
It just so happens that I think well, the first news we actually got of Silksong was like thanks to Xbox, right?
Yes.
I believe. Yeah. So I have no comment on really if Team Cherry would be working closely with one specific company, considering they are an indie company.
Yeah, alright. So we can't really expect it to be Nintendo first, but that's fine.
Yeah, there wouldn't really be any like exclusivity unless it's something of the same caliber of like say Cadence of Hyrule or something.
If they do crossover content. I mean, that's a bit down the road. It might take
that would
5
be
years.
yeah, that would be something to behold, I think. Yeah.
And what are you personally hoping for in the game? I didn't even finish the first one, so I can't really comment.
Honestly, I'm really hoping for just I really want it to be the same as Hollow Knight, if that makes sense, but I want to be able to still tell. Yes, I want to still be able to tell that it is Hollow Knight, but I also want to be able to recognize it as its own thing, if that makes sense. So,
Right.
of course,
Not too far different.
well, yeah, well, obviously Hornet is going to play a lot differently from the player character in the first game, considering the whole like string needle aesthetic.
I guess. Is the needle not going to work the same as the nail, though?
No. I think from what I've seen, I think some of her attacks are like similar to what she uses in her boss fights, and then a couple unique ones as well.
I mean, you'd hope so.
Mm.
Alright, that was very insightful, thanks. Now, the other topic that I've got for you today is a genre I do not touch with a 10-foot pole, but I understand you are very deep in the slop.
Unfortunately.
How many big gacha phone games do you think are going to make it to Switch 2?
I really hope that at some point, because, well, they're already available on other consoles.
Yes.
Games like Genshin Impact, which was already announced to be coming to the Switch all the way back around launch in 2020, we still haven't gotten any news on that. And considering how large the game has become since then, and
you think they maybe pushed it back to Switch 2 for the better graphics?
Possibly, yes. And then, see, I think it's not really the most beneficial for like companies to put gacha games on consoles because they're initially designed for a mobile market in the first place.
Because you don't have to spend $800 to start playing.
Yeah, it's like why would I spend $800 to spend more money, or be capped by like a daily system? I think that's yeah. Sorry, I forgot where I was going with that, but
no, it's
yes.
alright. Can I counter? People are now buying like gaming phones to have good performance, make it look pretty. And
Yes.
the Switch 2 is obviously the most casual of the consoles because it's the kind of thing that you can pull out on the train, and it's intrinsically very pretty, right? So don't
It
you think that
is.
that would be more attractive than something like the PS5?
You make a fair point, but then you also come up to the issue of internet connectivity and the like, because, well, all of
You
these are
can't
like,
play offline, right?
yes, exactly. So I think if some games that were like closer, that have already been going on for quite some time, like for example, there's a Mega Man 1 X Dive.
X-Dive, it died.
Yeah.
X-Dive
Yeah.
Offline is on Steam. They're not putting that
Yeah,
on
yeah,
Switch
yeah.
2.
Yeah. But for example, I think like if these companies made like kind of like standalone like offline titles after like end of service, which wouldn't be for a while, to be honest, because of just how popular these games are.
Yeah,
Um,
money printing.
Exactly, yeah. Because of just how popular these games are, like, I don't think we'll necessarily see like anything gacha like on the Nintendo Switch soon.
You're placing bets on no?
Well,
Not
I'm still
even
hoping.
the Subway Slammer?
This whole Subway's mine for the slamming.
They've got the
That would-
Persona 5 install base with Joker and Smash and Persona 5 Royal. You don't think they would even put that on there?
They do, but I've seen a lot of things that have claimed that the compatibility with the Phantom X and like consoles is like really weird, like from a control sense. Like it just doesn't feel right. Like you're playing a phone game.
I see. Right, so the main takeaway would be that you think they're not coming at all, which is interesting. I would have guessed at least a few.
Yeah, hold on. Let me change that up a bit. I still think there is the possibility of Genshin Impact
Oh, just
specifically. Specifically Genshin.
Because they already said it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it would be opportune as well, considering if they ever decide to
Like release a finished version of the game?
Yeah. But as far as I'm aware, the game, in terms of like progression, is about 75% through its story, I believe. I'm not sure. I have not kept up with Genshin in a good
I see.
2 years. It would be nice though, because it might offer Nintendo consumers to experience other like open world games.
Overall, you think mostly probably not, but maybe Genshin because they already mentioned it.
Yes.
Well, thank you for coming on. I think that is all I have to ask. I'm sure some people
Thanks for
watching
having
would be very, very happy about Honkai on Switch 2 or Genshin Impact. Speaking of, this episode is sponsored by Genshin Impact, an open world...
Why, thank you, Mr. Slop Master. Now, that's pretty much all of the big Nintendo franchises I wanted to discuss. But I'm still going to talk about the future of third parties on the system for a bit. So if you tune out now, I would not be offended. Number 1, Mega Man. Mega Man is my favorite video game franchise of all time. And the easiest thing to do would be to make a joke about how Mega Man is not coming back. It would hurt me too much to say it. So I'm going to say, we've got the Battle Network collection. That's this thing. This is Battle Network 1 through 6. I feel like it's realistic we get a Star Force collection relatively soon, maybe even the next Direct. It's been a while, it's been a few years. And they keep saying, I mean, there was an interview or something, no, it was a shareholder meeting. It was a shareholder meeting just this week where they said Mega Man is one of their most important guys, and yet they don't make games for him. I think a Star Force collection would make sense. A Legends collection I would much prefer, but I'll take what I can get. I still haven't played these. As for the next big, real Mega Man game, I feel like we're due. I know I've said that for the last 5 years, but I feel like we're due. Rockman Tyson, please save me. I would love an X9, following up on Lumine. I mean, they released a white Axel model kit. That probably doesn't mean anything to anyone but me, but that's pretty cool. That's like Axel at the end of X8 with the Lumine head tentacle. They could follow that up in X9. They could do a Legends 3, like they cancelled in 2013. Fuck you, Capcom. I'm not expecting anything at this point, but I do think another collection would be cool. Metal Gear, another series that I am quite fond of. We got the Master Collection, that's cool. I'm not sure how a Master Collection 2 would work. They could do Peace Walker and 4, but I don't think they're fitting Ground Zeroes and Phantom Pain in like one bundle. They would want to split that up, right? Sure, they're relatively cheap on Steam and so on, but even file size, that's quite a bit. If they do it though, maybe it's a game keycard thing, I could see that coming to Switch too. With Metal Gear Solid 4, natively maybe, or a port, maybe they'd have to rework it somehow. I really hope it's not like a cloud thing, but that's a big game. It's a PS3 game, but it's still pretty big. Peace Walker's easy, it's a PSP game. They could throw in some stuff like Acid or Twin Snakes, but I doubt it. They'd probably just go to the main titles. But that would be a really cool collection. 4, Peace Walker, 5, 5. And then Delta is also something to consider. I don't think the Switch 2 can run Delta. I don't think we're getting Delta on the Switch 2 at all. As cool as it would be. And speaking of Hideo Kojima related projects, Death Stranding 2 recently came out to massive acclaim. It looks amazing. I can't wait to play it at some point. But I've got a PS4 and a Switch. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it on those. And my PC's not very good, so I might have to wait a while. Death Stranding 1 on Switch? Maybe? It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, considering they can't really go, okay, you bought this one, now you'll buy the next one, because the next one won't run on it, unless they, pull a Witcher 3. Here's hoping. Death Stranding's pretty good. Monster Hunter Wilds on Switch 2 feels natural. It feels natural. It feels like it should come. It's a big game, but they can make it work. Capcom's pretty good at that. Monster Hunter Wilds on Switch 2. There you go. That is coming. Next Direct. That's my big prediction, yeah. Consider the humble Banjo-Kazooie. Now, Banjo-Kazooie on N64 was quite beloved, of course. And he was associated with Nintendo, same as Castlevania and Mega Man used to be. And then he moved out, he grew up, moved out of home, hanging out with some bad people, turned his life around for the worse, and then he's in rehab for a while. And then, he reunited with his family in Smash Bros. I think he could come back. I obviously don't think that would be a Nintendo project, but look at the success of Yooka-Laylee, Hat in Time, Mario Odyssey, Donkey Kong. Big companies, if they're paying attention, will see that the people want 3D collectathons nowadays. I think we could genuinely get a Banjo 3E, maybe 2 years from now. So we got Street Fighter 6, right? We got Guilty Gear Strive. Do we get Tekken? I mentioned that earlier, but I think it's possible. Aside from that, the fighting games on this Nintendo Switch are already pretty damn good. What else would I want to see? I don't think Mortal Kombat 1 needs any more. Like, it could benefit from the performance upgrade, absolutely. But I don't think it deserves it, honestly. Virtua Fighter 5 on Switch 2 would be amazing. I mean, that's an RGG project. They probably will, honestly, given that RGG worked on Yakuza 0 Director's Cut and Yakuza Kiwami on Switch. I feel like Virtua Fighter 5 on Switch 2 would be amazing. Now, there's not many other fighting games that come to mind, but that was a very, very nice transition into the other RGG projects everyone knows them for. Yakuza! Yakuza on the Nintendo Switch. Now, there is definitely going to be more Yakuza in the Nintendo sphere in the future. They tested the waters with Kiwami. They made bank with Director's Cut of 0, even though it was bad, in my opinion. Those are the ones that get people into the franchise and get them interested. Maybe 7 next. I fully expect to see Yakuza Kiwami 2, Yakuza Remastered Collection, Yakuza 6, Yakuza 7 especially, maybe even 7 first. Yakuza Infinite Wealth and Pirate are pushing it, Gaiden probably. Over the Switch 2 lifecycle, I expect them to see Nintendo as the same level of support as PlayStation and Steam and so on. Just because we have the power now, and we have the install base of people that would play those kinds of games. And I'm all here for it, even though I didn't buy Kiwami on Switch because I have it on PS4. I think buying some of them on Switch would just be better. Like, I would love Yakuza 7 on the train, for example. That would be so cool. What do I think about future Yakuza games? That could be a whole nother video. Found Judgment next year. Please, my life is yours. Kingdom Hearts. I should have asked James about this, but I don't know enough about Kingdom Hearts to make a good, informed prediction. I'm going to say Kingdom Hearts 4 comes to Switch 2 6 months after the rest of the systems, let's say. Just to work some kinks out. Maybe a cloud version. I really hope not. But I mean, they've been moving away from cloud versions. Look at Hitman on Switch versus Switch 2. It's the same content, but on Switch 1 it was cloud. Same with Kingdom Hearts 3 and so on. I feel like a big Kingdom Hearts collection on Switch 2, natively, properly, not a cloud thing, would do pretty well, and it would give the Nintendo fans that know Sora as the guy from Smash Bros. A chance to actually play the series. I feel like that is likely. Kingdom Hearts on the Switch 2 natively is likely, Kingdom Hearts 4 is unlikely. A new game besides that, do not ask me. Marvel Rivals on Switch 2 makes a lot of sense to me in my mind. I'm not sure why, but it's powerful enough, probably, if they cut some corners. I mean, look at the way Fortnite runs now, it's night and day. And it's a massively popular game that has a lot of budget. Nintendo's done a lot of stuff with Marvel before. Look at Ultimate Alliance 3. I feel like, oh yeah, Marvel Tokon. Tokon and Rivals are coming to Nintendo Switch. Well, Rivals next year, Tokon on release. That is my prediction. Ace Attorney. I think we see Ace Attorney 7 next year. It may even be announced in the next Direct. I mean, Professor Layton's popping off recently. Ace Attorney's had collections. They localized Investigations 2. Eustace Winner. They're doing well. I genuinely do see an Ace Attorney 7 on the horizon. That would be amazing. Ace Attorney 7 next year. You heard it here first. Probably not, actually. Speaking of Layton, I think Layton gets his game on the Switch 2 as well. I'm not sure if they already announced that. They may have. I'm not bothering to Google it. Rivals of Ether 2 probably is going to stay a Steam game as much as I love it. It feels like it's stepping on Nintendo's toes a little bit too much to put it on the Switch 2, even though it would be very natural feeling to the consumer. It could happen. I'm not betting on it. Rivals of Ether 2 I think stays on Steam. Castlevania! I mean, we got a new Castlevania game by Technicality, with Haunted Castle Revisited, which was made by the same team that did Castlevania The Adventure Rebirth on the WiiWare. And this was in the Dominus collection just a little while back. But I don't see another big Castlevania game. What I do see is a collection with Symphony of the Night, Rondo of Blood. Castlevania Requiem, it's called. It's on the PS4, and it's not on anything else. I think they put that on Steam, and they put that on the Switch, and sell 1 quintillion copies. And I would love it. I would buy it up like that, even though I already have it on PS4. Alucard on the go. I'd love Alucard on the go. I'd love to do Alucard. Persona. Now, I already had my good friend talk about Persona 5 X, but Persona 5 Royals on the Switch, Persona 5 Strikers on the Switch. I think the next big Persona project is also on the Switch, just because they know that the Nintendo audience is less just little kids now. So I would say Persona 6 comes to Switch the same time as everything else when it comes out. Gravity Rush makes sense on Switch. Tomb Raider makes sense on Switch. God of War maybe makes sense on Switch if Sony is willing to give up their precious little boy. Ninja Gaiden, Ragebound, and Ninja Gaiden 4, Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. I mean, they could all come to Switch. There's way too much for me to talk about. So I think I'll end off this section by just giving you my funniest hope. I really hope we get The Room on the Nintendo Switch. We have The Room 1 and 2, I believe, but I think a remaster of 1, 2, 3, and 4, just slightly prettier, all as one bundle. Cinema. Give me a The Room bundle. You know, I might think of something else over the next couple of days, but that might be it. I've made all my predictions about the big Nintendo stuff. I'll put like a timeline here if I remember. Oh, I've remembered. Number 1, Amiibo. I think that they are turning away from being a sort of small collectible to a more expensive collector's item that they expect people to more keep in the box often. And I don't mind that. I mean, look at it. But it's kind of an interesting direction to take them, where we're only getting 7 or 8 a year. Probably overall better on the wallet. I do expect a few more with the big releases, but way less than before. The DK one doesn't look very good though. NSO, I think, will continue to be great. The series only gets better and better, as in like the emulators and so on. I'm not sure what else we see in the Switch 2 lifecycle, because it can't just be GameCube. Now, the obvious one would be DS, because that kind of goes alongside the GameCube, and I will make a video on DS NSO at some point, but it doesn't seem likely early at all, and I'll talk about that why in that video later down the line. I'll make a GameCube NSO predictions if people care, probably not. A lot of people have already done that. Doshin the Giant Gaming. And what else could they do? I guess Dreamcast? Dreamcast would be cool. I didn't talk about the Sega projects like Crazy Taxi or Jet Set Radio, but those are on Switch day one instantly, right? But having Sega games like Sega Bass Fishing and Knights and that kind of thing on the Switch would be really cool natively through the NSO. They could pull like a complete left field thing and say, actually, we also have Neo Geo, but Arcade Archives and Neo Geo sort of seem to be their own separate thing. Speaking of Arcade Archives, if I got an interview from you, Joe, here you go.
Hello, as our last interviewee, thank you for coming in today. I've got first to ask about the Arcade Archives on Nintendo Switch 2. I understand that Ridge Racer and the first Ace Combat game are being released for the first time on Nintendo Switch 2, is that true?
That is indeed true.
How
Yes.
is it?
Well, the truth is, I haven't actually downloaded it.
Wow, fake fan.
But you know, it sure looks like the original arcade Ridge Racer.
And has that been on anything else before?
Well, it was ported to PlayStation 1 as a launch title, and I believe it was on PSP at some point. Like a download title, but yeah. Well, also quite famous, I guess, is like
Iconic.
PlayStation 1 game. Iconic. Yes. Like, this is the first time it's been talked about in a while, so
I'm gonna
this
get
is kind of a big deal. Yeah, good idea. I should.
What about the first Ace Combat game? Did you mention that that has never been re-released?
No, not to my knowledge. Air Combat 22, yeah, first ever Ace Combat game to be released before even Air Combat for the PlayStation 1, which was another launch title, by the way, for that system.
I see.
Yeah.
What arcade games in that style do you think could come to Arcade Archives?
Well, I guess there were a bunch of Ridge Racer sequels that would be likely candidates. Rage Racer, which I also haven't played. Ridge Racer Revolution, perhaps.
I see.
And, you know, perhaps more Ace Combat games. This is just wishful thinking, but, you know, if they re-released classic Ace Combats on Switch to, like, have them portable and on current hardware, I would be very happy about that. Especially Ace Combat 3, because that game never got a full English translation. Like, it had an English version, but it was very stripped back and different from the Japanese version, with, like, no cutscenes or branching story pathways. So, yeah.
What
All
else?
the speculation.
Let's pivot to the rest of what you wanted to talk about. I didn't give you the best guidance for your section. What else would you like to see on the Switch 2?
Not as for third-party games, yeah. Well, I'm a very big fan of Square Enix RPG series, The World Ends With You.
I did not mention that, so please continue.
Yeah. So, like, the last World Ends With You game to come out was in 2021. It was a release on Nintendo Switch and PS4. No one played it.
Can confirm.
Partially, yes. See, partially because of poor marketing and just lack of interest, I guess, because it's, you know, a sequel to a cult classic DS game. So yeah, this is again a lot of wishful thinking, especially so because something kind of unfortunate that happened was the series director Tatsuya Kondo recently left Square Enix. So the likelihood of another one of these games happening is not very high. But you know, we can still...
with the series going forward without that guy, or is he like the sucker?
Well, I mean, yeah, I'd like to see them attempt another game without him. Like, if the alternative is just never have another World Ends With You game, I would, you know, I'd definitely like to see if they could make one. Like, you know, I mean, like, he wasn't the only guy to work on the series, so, I mean, you know.
And if you had to pick one overall dream game for the Nintendo Switch 2, what?
One game.
Any game. And you need to give it a release date so that we can look back at your predictions and laugh.
Awesome. Okay. That's tough. I mean, something that could happen is Ridge Racer 8, maybe, because that was actually that was a dropped Switch launch title. It was planned, but kind of just scrapped like a ways into development, and like we actually got like earlier this year some footage of the like an early build of the game, and you know, it didn't look like playable really. Like the physics looks the physics look very jank and, you know, not good, but like it looked to be like a ways into development, so like, you know, I think they could maybe pick that up again and maybe like polish it up for Switch 2.
I see. That is good material.
Yeah, that could be a pretty good racing game, I think. That's another series that needs to make a return. Ridge Racer 7 was in 2006. I was not even cognizant back then, so it's been a while. Yeah, I was 2, so I win.
Way to flex.
But yeah,
Hey,
Ridge Racer game is awesome.
Ridge Racer, World Ends With You. I mean,
And Star.
those are pretty Joe-pilled. And Star Fox. I think that is about all I would needed to ask today.
Right, awesome.
Thank
you for
joining me in the studio.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Joe. And that just leaves non-games. Netflix was on the Wii and the 3DS. I think we see it on Switch 2 again. Spotify was on the PS4. I think we see that on Switch 2. That would make a lot of sense. Doing a Spotify stream party, sort of like Discord's YouTube share with your friends in game chat, makes a lot of sense to me. I don't think we're seeing a browser like the 3DS had, just because software vulnerabilities, they really seem to be cracking down on it, which is really, really sad as someone who hacks their Switch and everything else they own, really. And one very hyped thing, we're not going to get Badge Arcade back, as fun as that would be. We're probably not going to get themes. Themes would be really awesome. Maybe they could do a reverse PS5 where the next one up has themes but the previous one doesn't. Yeah, themes would be awesome. Please give me themes. Please give me themes. Badge Arcade coming back would be hype, but it's not. Nintendo Anime Channel. They had that on the 3DS. It was a really cute little mini Netflix with anime. Mostly things like Kirby's anime and a little bit of Pokemon, I think. Something like that on Switch 2, I feel, would be pretty good. Maybe wrap it up in the NSO brand, so that you don't have to pay extra. but being able to watch even just the Kirby show alone, people would like that. And unless I think of something else, that does it. This was a big time capsule experiment. You're going to look back on this in a few years and think, wow, you really grew the beard like that? That looks like shit. Wow, you're really rocking a beanie indoors. Wow. Your lighting setup is awful. But more importantly, you're going to look back and go, wow, you were wrong. We got fucking, I don't know, Monster Hunter Warriors cross Shin Megami Tensei 7. Like, Sharp FE or some bullshit like that. And no, we got Wii Fit 3 instead of Ring Fit 2. And no, we got, I didn't even talk about Luigi's Mansion. I probably should have. But yeah, we got Luigi's Mansion kart racing, not a new 3D Mario. Or something like that. You're going to look back and think I'm wrong. That's the point I'm getting to. If you reach this point in the video without, you know, cringing your eyes out or leaving, thank you very much. It means a lot. It really does. This is my first proper video that isn't just showing off my shit. I put a lot of effort into it. Maybe it's a little rushed. Maybe I'll make a remaster down the line like a video game company. But it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to talk about this stuff, even if I'm talking mostly into the void. Thank you. Please like and subscribe for the next one. Be that the DS NSO video, be that a Mega Man one I got in the works, Mega Man vs. Castlevania. You'll see. Good night, Tri-State Area. No, I should get a more interesting one than just copying Shea Thrillers. Get alive? Nah, that's lame. I don't know. Submit epic YouTuber ending catchphrases in the comment section, please.